not worry. He is a good lecturer, good scholar, well-known scholar. He is fully qualified to deliver this lecture. I am not going to take unnecessary time out of this 2-hour session. Now it is your turn, Professor Nawarathna Banda.
Okay, Reverend, thank you very much. And thank you. Right, good evening, everybody. And first of all, I thank for Professor Reverend Vijitapura Vimalratana regarding his introduction about me. And actually, today we have to discuss about the macroeconomics. But before that, everybody can hear me? Okay? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, right. And before that, actually, I don't know the various streams you are coming from. So I have to discuss something about the economics also. And if we concern about economics, actually, we can say, so that is, we are concerned in economics, the production, distribution, and consumptions of goods and services. So that is the very simple definitions for economics. Then we have to think about why do we concern about the productions of goods and services. The thing is that because when we are producing goods and services, we should have resources. And what is the problem of resources? So that is, we can say, the limited resources. Then, so why do we produce goods and services? Because we are producing goods and services, we want to satisfy our wants. Then, so what is the problem of wants? So that is, we can say, unlimited wants. Then we can change our definitions on economics. So we can say, how do we achieve the unlimited wants through limited resources? So then we can say that is economics. Okay. Is it clear? I think I can see the Jivanti. Hello. Is it clear that one? Hello. Jivanti, one of student, I think. Hello. Hello.
Professor Nawarathna, she has sent a message saying yes, but you can, if you want, you can also unmute your microphones to answer. Thank you.
Okay, okay, right. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes,
right, okay. Right.
Banda.
Okay, right. Then we can say, why do we produce goods and services? We can say, we want to satisfy our wants. And finally, we can say, so what is the simple definitions of economics? How do we achieve the unlimited wants through limited resources? And in economics, we are talking about the wants and needs. The needs mean the basic needs. So what are the basic needs? We want the food. Without food, nobody can survive. And the second, we want the shelter to protect from the weather or the animals or unwanted things. And third, we can say we want the clothes, because without clothes also we are unable to live. Then those are the three basic needs. Then what is the difference between the basic needs and the wants? Now, if you think about the food, because there are various types of foods we can use for our satisfactions of needs of food. Now, if you think about, we can eat rice and curry, or we can eat rice and fish, or we can eat rice and meats, or the vegetables, or maybe the green gram, maybe the manioc, maybe the sweet potatoes. Then you can see there's a big list of foods. But if you eat anything from this list, we can say we can satisfy our basic needs of foods. Then the second we can see, now earlier, because we want the basic needs of shelter. Now we can see earlier people lived in the caves, maybe the tree holes. And then when we are civilized, actually we build the houses using mud, maybe the leaves, maybe the cajuns, maybe the woods, and using everything, actually we build the houses. And when we are developing, actually we use the materials like cement, maybe the tiles, floor tile, and the roof tiles, the zinc sheets, but nowadays we are using the concrete, and we are using fans, maybe AC and everything. Then you can see there is a list of houses. But if you live in a cave or the cement house, only thing actually we can satisfy our wants, the basic needs of the shelter. And the third we can see the clothes. Now the earlier people actually they use maybe the animal skin, maybe the leaves, maybe the branches of trees, maybe the barks of trees as their clothes. But later they found the cotton. I think we have heard about that one. When the Prince Vijaya came to Sri Lanka, the queen was actually preparing the cotton cloths. So then what happened when we are developing, actually we are using not only cotton, but we are using silk and very expensive clothes, that may be the synthetic. But if you are using maybe the branches, maybe the animal skin, maybe the cotton clothes, maybe the synthetic clothes, or maybe the silk clothes, only thing actually we can cover our body. So that is the basic needs of clothes. Actually we can satisfy that. Then we can see, so what is the difference between wants and needs? We can say the wants mean how do we achieve the basic needs? Or we can say the way of achieving the basic needs, we can say the wants. Because today we can prepare a very big list of wants. But tomorrow actually we can add another several items into that big list. Then we can say without basic needs we are unable to survive. But without wants actually we can survive. Because the way of achieving the basic needs we can say the wants. So that is the difference between the basic needs and the wants. Then we can say the economics can be divided into two branches. First one we can say the microeconomics. And the second branch we can say the macroeconomics. So what is microeconomics? The microeconomics concerned with the study of individual or group behavior of consumers and producers. So that is the individual or group behavior of consumers and producers. So that is called microeconomics. Now, what are the examples of microeconomics? If we think about the price of pumpkin, so we can say price of pumpkin last week, maybe the 60 rupees for 500 grams. But today we can say maybe 70 rupees. That means increase the price of pumpkin. Or we can say the price of other vegetables, maybe the green vegetables like the cabbage, maybe the drumstick, maybe the lady's fingers, maybe the beans, maybe the long beans, maybe the bitter gourds. But those are individual behavior. What is the group behavior? We can say prices of vegetable. What happened compared to last week or compared to last month. Then we can say the price of petroleum or the price of car. What happened? Increase or decrease, or that is not changing. Or we can say the price of TV, maybe the radio, maybe the fan, maybe the fridge. So that is the individual behavior. But as a whole, we can say the prices of industrial item. Then we can go to this. We can say now the poverty in the rural area. Or we can say the poverty in the coastal belt. Maybe the poverty in the estate sector. So that is individual behavior. Or we can say unemployment in the rural area. Maybe the unemployment in the coastal belt. Maybe the unemployment in the estate sector. Maybe the provinces, we can say the Sabaragama province, the Western province. So those are actually the microeconomics. Or we can say production of paddy. So that is also microeconomics. Or we can say the interest rates in the various banks, maybe the public sector banks, maybe the private sector bank. So those are, we can say, the microeconomics, because we are studying in microeconomics. So we said the unemployment, rate of interest, and the prices of vegetable or the prices of industrial items, and the production of vegetable or the agriculture products or the production of industrial items, and we can say the services. Now those are actually, we are studying in microeconomics. That is the micro level behavior as individual or as a group behavior. Or we can say income of farmers, or we can say income in rural areas, or the income in urban areas, or the income in estate sector, because we are separately studying. So that is called the microeconomics. But when we are studying in microeconomics, that is separately. But when you go to the macroeconomics, so we are studying economy as a whole. That is not the individual units. Now we studied about the price of pumpkin, the prices of vegetable, or the price of petroleum, the prices of cars, or the prices of TV. All are the individual behavior. But in macroeconomics, we can say the general price level, because we are studying economy as a whole. So that is called the general price level. Or we can say the inflation, because we are compared with the last year. So what happened in 2019 or the 2020? What are the prices? What happened to the prices? Increase, decrease, or constant? And we are compared with the 2021. What happened? Prices are increased, decreased, or the constant. So that is why we can say in macroeconomics, we are studying economy as a whole. So that is the prices. We are talking about the inflation or the general price level. And we studied about the various sector, the unemployment, maybe the rural sector, urban sector, maybe the graduates unemployment. But economy as a whole, actually, we are talking about the unemployment in Sri Lanka. Because if you are taking the 100% from the labor force from 15 age to 55 age, that is the category. And we can say how many people are unemployed in the labor force. So that is, we are studying in macroeconomics. And if you think about the rate of interest, we can see that in microeconomics, the various banks, the public sector, the private sector. But what is the market rate of interest? Actually, we are studying in the macroeconomics. So that is only one thing. Now, if we think about the poverty in rural area, or the poverty in coastal area, or the poverty in the state sector, so we can say that is the micro level study, or we are studying in microeconomics. But in macroeconomics, actually, we are talking about the poverty in Sri Lanka. Because if we are take 100 people, so what is the poverty level? Now in Sri Lanka, we can say nowadays, maybe the 6%, 7% poverty in Sri Lanka. So that is actually we are studying economy as a whole. So that is in macroeconomics. And we talk about the production sector. We are talking about the production in the industrial sector, maybe the agriculture sector, maybe the service sector. But in macroeconomics, we are talking about the GDP, or we can say gross domestic product. So within a 1 year period, so what is the total productions of Sri Lanka? Actually, we are talking about the final goods and services. So that is in macroeconomics. Then we are talking about unemployment, the poverty, the GDP, and the inflation, the rate of interest, or we can say the output, that is the GDP. So those are actually, we can say the macroeconomics. Now I think you can see here the macroeconomic definitions also there. So that is, the macroeconomic is that specialized field of economics which focuses on the overall economy. So that is, we are studying economy as a whole. And it works on the aggregate value of the various individual units, because individual units are there and we are adding together to determine more substantial impact on the whole nation. So that is, we can say the macroeconomics. And all the prominent reforms and the policies are based on this concept, because when the government taking one decision, so actually the government think about the economy as a whole, not for individual persons' benefits. Okay. Is it clear? Lakmali is here. I can see, I think, one student. Hello. Any problem up to now? Hello. Hello. Jivanti. Any problem? Hello.
Jivanti, some problem with the microphone, Professor Nawarathna.
Yeah, I have to. You can.
No, Jivanti has a problem.
Her problem. That's a microphone.
Yeah, it's her problem. Yeah, it's a
Okay,
microphone.
Okay. Sevandi. Hello. Hello. Sevandi. Is it clear?
Yes, up to now it's clear.
Okay, right. Now we know what is economics, and we know what is microeconomics, and we know what is macroeconomics. Okay. Right. If you have any problem, you can tell me, then I can go back and we can discuss. Right, here you can see. And what are the external variables and the policy instruments are there. And we can say the induced variables are there. Right, we can say the foreign output. So we can say that is the external variables affect for the economy. And if there is a war, so that is actually affect for our macroeconomy. So we can say the economy of Sri Lanka. And if there is a war in the Middle East countries, what happened? Very difficult to produce the petroleum, and then they increase the petroleum prices. And when we are importing petroleum to Sri Lanka, what happened? The prices are very high. So what happened? We have to pay more higher prices, and our foreign exchange goes to the foreign country, that is to the Middle East countries, because there is a war in the Middle East areas. And if there is a weather conditions, maybe the cyclone coming, maybe tsunami coming, maybe the earthquake, everything actually affect for our economy. And the fiscal policies are there. So what is the fiscal policy? That is the policy instruments. Now, if the government wants to increase the production in Sri Lanka and increase the employment opportunity, the government can use the fiscal policy. So what is the fiscal policy? There are two instruments. The first one, the government can increase the prices of, increase the expenditure of the government. Because government can increase the expenditure for the projects. So that is why we can see the budget deficit in Sri Lanka. Because what is the meaning of budget deficit? Because there is an investment in the coming year. Then the government increasing the expenditure of the government. So that money actually goes to the economy. After goes to that money to the economy, what happened? The people get a lot of income. After they get in the lot of income, they try to demand for goods and services. When they are demanding for goods and services, what happened? The prices are increasing. When the prices are increasing, what happened? Increase the income of the producers. Then the producers are motivated to produce goods and services. Then what happened? Increase the productions of Sri Lanka, or we can say increase the GDP. Then another one, under the fiscal policy, the government can either increase or decrease taxes. That is called the direct tax, because we can say I am also paying maybe the 15,000 per month as a direct tax. If the government reducing the direct tax, then what happened? Our purchasing power is increasing. When our purchasing power is increasing, what happened? We have enough lot of money to buy goods and services. Then we try to buy goods and services. And when we are demanding for goods and services, what happened? When we are demanding for goods and services, what happened? Increase the prices of goods and services. Then after increasing the price of goods and services, again what happened? Increase the income of the producers and increase in their profits. When their profits are increasing, what happened? The investors are motivated to increase the productions. When they are producing more goods and services, what happened? They want to recruit the employees for their firms. Then what happened? Increase the production, increase the employment opportunity also. Then when they are increasing the production, what happened? The prices are going down. Then we are able to buy goods at lower prices. Because the government cut the income tax under the fiscal policy. But if the government increased tax, what happened? Can you remember the 2011, I think? 11 and 2015? Actually, the government increased the tax, the income tax, 4% up to 100,000 rupees, and the 8%, then the 12%, 16%, up to 24%. Then what happened? If you are getting 100 rupee, 24% goes to the government. Then what happened? If the government increase the taxes, actually our purchasing power is going down. If our purchasing power is going down, what happened? We are not going to buy goods and services. Then what happened? The prices are going down. Then the profit of producers are going down, or the revenue going down. Then what happened? They are discouraging to produce goods and services. So when they are discouraging, what happened? Actually, they are not going to recruit the people. Then increase the unemployment in Sri Lanka. Now you can see nowadays that is due to the COVID situations, the lot of firms are closed because they are unable to produce now. Because if they are produced, but they are unable to sell those goods. And some goods they are unable to send to the foreign countries. Then what happened? Decrease in the employment opportunity or increase the unemployment in Sri Lanka. And reducing the GDP. Then what happened? The most people, they are unable to get the income, and their income also going down. So that is the effects of fiscal policy, either increase government expenditure or decrease government expenditure, or increase tax or decrease tax. But there is another problem also. If the government increase the government expenditure, what happened? Actually, that is affect for the rate of interest. Then that when the rates of interest is increasing, the what happened? The private sector investments are discouraged. Then what happened? The private sector investment actually transfer from private sector to the government sector. Then what happened? We can say that is the crowding out, because the private sector is not going to invest because the rate is very high. So that is happening when we are implementing the fiscal policy, because if the government increase government expenditure, rate of interest is increasing, then the private sector investment is discouraged. Then that is reduced, they are reducing the investment. And if they reduce the investment, what happened? Again, the production is going down and the prices are going down, and they are not going to recruit the people for their firms. Then what happened? Increase the unemployment. So that is happening in the economy, not only Sri Lanka. And if you think about the developed countries also nowadays, what happened due to the COVID situation, the USA, maybe the UK, the Western countries, maybe the Canada, Japan, everywhere you can see people are become unemployed, because if they produce but they are unable to sell the products, sometimes people, they don't have money to buy the goods and services. Then what happened? The unemployment increasing and the GDP is going down and the government income also going down, and sometimes the prices are also going down. Then there is a problem for the economy. Inflation, unemployment, low production, and sometimes low saving and the low investment. That time we can say the government, the economy is going down, or we can say that is maybe the recent situation. Actually, it was happened in 1929 up to 1933, because that's what's happened in the developed countries. So that is due to the classical economics actually we are talking about, because they, under the classical theory before 1929, the government should not intervene to the economic activity. So that is the idea of classical economics. So then what happened? The government did not intervene to the economic activity, but only the private sector took the decisions. Then what happened? They took the loans from the banks and they increased the production. Increase. There's unlimited productions. Finally, what happened in 1929, we can see overproduction in the economy, or we can say the excess production. So the supply is greater than the or supply was greater than the demand. Then what happened? If the supply is greater than the demand, the prices are going down. When the prices are going down, what happened? The income of the producers are also going down. And their profit also going down. After reducing the profit, what happened? Actually, they have taken the loans from the banking sector. Then they are unable to pay back the loans because their income is going down, profit is going down. When they are unable to pay back the loans and when they are getting lost, what happens? They are removing the people from the work. When they are removing the worker from the firms, actually they have the ability in the developed countries, they can hire and fire the people. Because if they recruit the people, they are able to remove the people also from the work. Then what happened? So before 29, that was happened because they reduced the income, they reduced the profit. Then actually sometimes they remove the workers, sometimes they cut the wages also. Then due to reducing the income of the firms, actually they were unable to pay back their loans and the rate of interest. Then the banking sector were unable to recover their loans. Finally what happened? The banking sector collapsed down. Actually that is happened in the USA, the Wall Street. So that is why the majority says that is the crash of the Wall Street, because all the banking sector situated in the Wall Street. What is the reason for that one? Because they accepted the classical theory. The government should not intervene into the economic activity. But if the government intervened into the economic activity, actually economy was able to recover, but it was not happened. Then what happened? The economy came down, and what economy is actually the body, we can say that is the system or the body. And if there is a problem, actually somebody has to treat for that one. And who is the doctor for that one? Is the government. But under the classical theory, government did not intervene to the economic activity. Finally what happened? Economy came to the bottom level. The bottom level, and that is called the Great Depression. Nowadays also we can see that all the economy in the world now actually going down due to the COVID situation, because we are unable to produce goods and services. We are unable to go to the working places. And we also come into the working place, but sometimes 1 day, 2 days, we are unable to come here. That is the fear of maybe the lockdown area. A lot of problems are there. But after that, what happened? It was understood by the economists. That economist called the John Maynard Keynes. And actually he criticized the classical theory. Classical theory. And finally what happened? He wrote a book called the General Theory. He said that if the classical theory is good, why there was a Great Depression in the developed countries? And finally, and he gave some solution for that one. So under the Keynes said, the government should intervene to the economic activity. And the government should increase the government expenditure. And the government should cut the taxes. Then if the government increase the government expenditure, what happened? The economy is able to recover. Actually, after 1933, it was recovered within that development other countries. Because if there's a problem in the developed countries, that is spreading for the developing countries also. because actually we are dependent on the developed countries up to now. That is due to the international trade. Actually, that is the starting point of macroeconomics. Because before 1933, there was only, we used the microeconomics. So that is why we were failed, actually the developed country was failed. But we can say, who is the founder of macroeconomics? We can say John Maynard Keynes. So that is under, then that is why he said that we have to use the fiscal policy, because we have to reject the classical theory. So that is the policy instrument. And then you can see here the monetary policy also there. So what is the monetary policy? Now, if there is unemployment in an economy or the low production or the low GDP, the government can increase the money supply. So after increasing the money supply, what happened? The rate of interest is going down. When the rate of interest is going down, what happened? The investors are motivated, because in investment and the rate of interest, there is a negative relationship, because when the rates are very low, investments are going up. And when the rates are high, investments are going down. And there is a negative relationship between rate of interest and investment. So that is why under the monetary policy, actually the government can increase the money supply. But there is another problem also. When the money supply is increasing, the prices are going up, because the income, money is come to the economy and the people are getting a lot of income and a lot of money. And they try to spend those money. And when they are spending that money, actually if there is a limited product, what happens? Prices are going up. But due to the low rates of interest, actually, the producers are motivated. When the producers are motivated, what happens? They are increasing their production and they are investing more money. And when they are investing more money, what happens? Actually, they want to recruit more people for their production firms. Then what happens? Decrease the unemployment in an economy and increase the production. And when the income is coming to the people, actually they can increase the saving. Then that money again goes to the investment. So that is, we can say, the monetary policy, either increase or decrease money supply. Now, if there is a higher inflation in an economy, the government can reduce the money supply and control the money supply. Actually, we can reduce the prices. But the problem is there, when the money supply is decreasing, the rate of interest is increasing. And again, the problem is there, because when the rates are going up, again discourage the private sector investment. So that is effect for increasing unemployment. And what happened? The people are saving money into the banking sector. And people are not going to use money for their consumption. So that is also problems. And another, you can see the policy instruments, the income policies are there. And the foreign trade, then nowadays you can see the what happened to our exports, because normally we are sending goods to foreign countries, tea, rubber, and coconut. And we are sending the garments item. And we are sending the gems or the minerals. And the minor export crops are there. And we are sending the services also. But now you can see, due to the COVID situation, actually the foreign countries, they are unable to buy our products now, because they are reducing the import from our countries. And then that is also a problem for our country because we are getting the lower foreign exchange. Now what happened, the tourist sector now completely break down due to the COVID situation, and the tourists are not coming to our country. But that is actually, we can say the tourism is the engine of growth in any country. Now Sri Lanka also, we are getting a lot of income from the tourist sector. But now what happened, internal tourism also collapsed down because the people are unable to go in here and there. But earlier what happened, the people might travel from the coastal belt to the inland, maybe the Kandy, the upcountry area, and the upcountry people travel to the lower southern province and the western province. But nowadays what happened, those internal tourism also collapsed down. Then actually the foreign trade also affect for our economy. And nowadays we are unable to import some raw materials, the vehicles and everything. And what happens if we are unable to import raw materials and the intermediate products, we are unable to produce goods and services within our economy or within our country. Because we are unable to import because we don't have sometimes the foreign exchange, and other things we are unable to import the products from foreign country due to the COVID situation, because there's a threat for the Sri Lankan people. And those countries also what happened, so they are unable to send the goods to our country, and they are unable to buy goods from our country. Another problem we can see that we are sending the people to the Middle East countries, maybe the engineers, doctors, housemates. But nowadays what happened, actually we are unable to send them to the Middle East countries, and we are not getting the remittances, and we are not getting the foreign exchange. So that is the bad impact on our economy. Then here you can see the net export. So that is, what is net export? That is the induced variables we can see. The net exports mean the difference between export and import. So how much money we are getting from sending goods to the foreign country, and how much money goes to the foreign country due to imports. And if we are getting that, the difference between export and import, so we can say the net export. The net export may be positive, may be negative. If the export income is greater than the import expenditure, so we have the net export positive. But if the export income is less than the import expenditure, we have the net export negative. So that is also effect for the economy. If we have the net export positive, the what happened, actually we are getting a lot of foreign income or the foreign exchange. But if there is a negative net export, what happened, our money goes to the foreign country. Then what happened, our reserve is going down. Right. Is it clear, Sevandi? Hello? Hello?
Yes, it's clear. It's clear now.
Any problem, anybody? Hello? Any problem? Who is there? Hello, Piumal. Piumal here. Hello, Munavira. Any problem? And the Sureka. Right. I think clear.
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, right, then we can continue. And the prices also here, that is also induced variable. Now, when the prices are going up, what happened? Or we can say inflation in Sri Lanka, because that our export prices are very high for the foreign people, because the prices are very high in our country. Then what happened? they are not going to buy our products from our country, then our export income is going down. But the problem is there now, our prices are very high, but the foreign prices are very low. Then what happened? We try to import products from foreign countries. Then our money goes to the foreign country. Then there is a balance of payment problem because export income is lower than the import expenditure. That is due to the high prices in our country. But if there's a prices are very low in our country, the foreign people try to buy more goods from our country, then what happens? So we can get the higher income from the foreign countries. But the foreign products are very expensive for Sri Lankan people. So at that time, actually, we are unable to buy the products from foreign countries. But the problem is there now, actually, we are importing the raw materials and intermediate product to produce other goods within our economy. So at that time, what happened? Due to the higher price in the foreign country, the cost of production is increasing in our country. Then what happened? Actually, we have to increase the prices of our product also. But if you are producing the products to send to the foreign country, what happened? Cost of production increasing and the prices are increasing. Then what happened? We are unable to send to the world market because we are unable to compete in the world market due to the higher prices. Then there is a problem because the foreign people are not going to buy our products. Because the developed countries, what happened, they are sending the cheaper products to the world market. But our products are very high, prices are very high, then actually we are unable to compete in the world market. So that is also a problem. So that is also the induced variable. And the employment and unemployment. Now, if Sri Lanka higher unemployment, what happened? The lot of problems are there. And actually the people asking the government jobs. But the problem is there actually as a developing country, our government is unable to provide job opportunities for all the labor force. So that is why the government actually giving benefits for the private sector. So we can say the private sector led economic developments. We can say the private sector is the engine of growth because we are unable to provide all the opportunities, all the employment opportunities for the unemployed people by the government. We get limited number of people we can recruit for the government. Up to now, I think the limited number may be 2 million, maybe the employed in the government sector. But if we are giving facilities for the private sector, actually we can increase the employment opportunities. Or we have to train the people to send to the foreign countries, the foreign market, the world market, because when we are preparing the graduates or the A-level students or the O-level students, we have to prepare them to compete in the world market. Without very difficult to find the jobs in Sri Lanka with the limited number of job opportunities in Sri Lanka because the economy is not expanding very quickly. Then what happened? The job opportunities are very limited. So that is why we have to practice or we have to train the people to go to the foreign country. But under the COVID situation, actually, that is also the problem because we are unable to send the people to foreign countries. Then nowadays you can see the foreign country also increasing the unemployment. In Sri Lanka also that is happening. So we have to take some actions to increase the employment opportunities in the private sector. Another one actually we can do the self-employment. Another one is the small and medium scale enterprises. We can develop it in our country. So that is why there is a concept called the small is beautiful. because as a small country in Sri Lanka, so we are unable to establish the heavy industries. But we can motivate the small and medium scale industries. Then we can actually increase the employment opportunities in our country. So we have to find maybe when we are training people, actually we have to train the people for establishing the self-employment opportunities. So that is actually doing by the vocational training center in Sri Lanka. And the universities also, there are some programs to make some entrepreneurs. I think Sri Lanka only, I have heard very recently, only 2% or 3% of the population under actually self-employed in Sri Lanka. But if you think about the Thailand, I think 28% of the labor force actually, they have the self-employment. But in Sri Lanka, there are some problems because when everybody try to get the education, but they think after getting the education, maybe the diploma, degree or A-level or O-level, after passing that one, they think actually the government should provide the job opportunities. Actually, the government can't do that one. So that is why actually we have to motivate the people to start the businesses or the self-employment. Or we can say you can become your own boss, because if you start a business, finally you can recruit several people for giving the employment opportunities. So that is actually we have to do without very difficult in Sri Lankan government to provide the job opportunities. Actually, that is not the problem of the president, prime minister, or the ministers, or any other government servant, because we have the limited number of job opportunities in the government. So that is why we have to motivate the private sector, and we have to motivate the people to start the self-employment opportunities. And we have to motivate the people to go to foreign countries with a lot of jobs in maybe the South Korea, maybe the Middle East countries, maybe the developed countries like the Canada, America, the Western countries. A lot of job opportunities are there. But the problem is we have to develop the soft skills of our people, especially the young crowd in Sri Lanka. So we have to develop their soft skills, maybe the language ability, maybe the leadership abilities, maybe the computer abilities. Sometimes they have to learn the foreign languages also. If somebody knows the 1, 2, 3 languages, not the only English is a commercial language nowadays. But if you study maybe the French, maybe the Italian, maybe the Japanese, maybe the Chinese. Now you can see nowadays the very great economy, we can say the China. But if you learn the Chinese also, actually we can get a lot of job opportunities. So that is, we can say one, we are inducing the people, okay, to get the employment opportunities in the foreign countries. And the output also induce variable. When the output, we can see the GDP, gross domestic product increase, what happened? Actually, we can measure the standard of living sometime. We can say when the production is very high, we can consume a lot of goods and services. But if the output is very low, actually we are unable to get the income and we are unable to consume more. So that is actually the measuring standard of living in a country. The GDP is very high. What happened? The per capita income also increasing. But now you can see the per capita income also very low. So those are the external variables. The policy instruments are there and the induced variables are there. So the external variables, foreign output was with those 3 variables. And the policy instruments are there, the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, income policies are there because we can redistribute the income to the poor people, and the foreign trade, export and import. And the induced variable, we can say the net export, the prices, employment and unemployment, and the output. So those are the 3 types of variables, and the instruments. Is it clear? Hello? Sewandi, clear? Hello?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, right. Right. For instance, the nation's income is computed as a per capita income. Because the GDP actually we can divide by the population. Then we can find out what is the per capita income per person. Now in Sri Lanka, actually we are getting $4,000 and we are in the middle income country. But it's nothing but the average of the total earning of all the citizens in the country. So per capita income. And here we can see the content, the macroeconomics, scope, theories, policies are there, and the importance are there, and the issues are there, and the limitations are there, and we can see the conclusion. So that is a lot of things I discussed, but the later we can see those things. Right. So what is the scope of macroeconomics? So macroeconomics is a vital field of study for the economist, because after you study in the economics, you can become an economist. Economist, the government, and the financial bodies are there, and the researchers are there, and they try to analyze the general national issues and economic well-being of a country. So what are the national issues? The poverty, unemployment, the low production, low saving, and the higher rate of inflation, interest, and the inflation. So those are and the low productivity. In Sri Lanka, we can see the labor productivity is very low. So those are the national issues. And again, we have to think about what is the well-being of a country. In Sri Lanka, what is the well-being? Because well-being of the people, whether increasing, decreasing, or that is constant. So those are actually the national issues. Now, actually, we can say in Sri Lanka, every day we can hear the government sector is inefficient. But I have a problem is there, who is the inefficient people? Because the government servants are inefficient. So that is why we can say the government sector is inefficient. Every day we can hear the CTB is getting lost, the CGR is getting lost, maybe the Petroleum Corporation, maybe the Electricity Board, maybe the Telecom, we can say we are getting lost. Because that is the problem is actually the labor productivity is very low compared to other countries. I don't know other developing countries, but the developed countries actually the labor productivity is very high. So output to labor ratio is very high. But in Sri Lanka, very low productivity. Now, when you go to the rural areas, maybe the paddy cultivations also, the labor productivity is very low. Because we are using the majority of labor or the labor intensive methods to produce goods and services. But the developed countries, what happened? So they are using the capital intensive methods to produce goods and services. But the capital productivity is very high in developed countries because they have the labor, but the labor is very expensive. Then they are using more capital. But our country, what happened? What is the purpose of the government policies? To improve the well-being of the people. So that is why actually we are recruiting more people for the government sector. And when there's an election, what happened? The majority of candidates say after giving votes or after winning the elections, we are going to give the government jobs for everybody. Because if they are supporting for the member of parliament, any party, so they say, so we are going to give you the job opportunity in the government sector. But the problem is there, now there is an overmanning in the government sector. They require only 10 people, but you can see 15, 20 people working there. But if you compare with the private sector, what happened? If they want to 10 people, they are using only 5 people. So they are using the less labor, but high productivity. But the government sector, what happened? The higher people, but the lower productivity. So then we can say that government sector is inefficient. So that is why those are the national issues in Sri Lanka. And the macroeconomics widely cover 2 major fundamentals. So what are the major fundamentals? Subparted into multiple topics as explained below. Now we can see what are the 2 major fundamentals. The macroeconomics theories. The government, as we know, is the regulatory body of nation, and it considers the various aspects which are crucial and impact the lives of citizens, because the government taking decisions to improve the welfare of the people. So that is why the government is the regulatory body of the economy. So that is affect for the lives of the citizens in that country. So there are 6 significant theories under the macroeconomics. So what are the theories we can say? First one, we can see the economic growth and development. So what is economic growth and development? The status of a country economy can be evaluated in terms of the per capita real income. So what is the per capita real income? What is the real and the nominal? The nominal mean there is inflation, the impact in that per capita income. But if you are removing the inflation, the impact, we can get the per capita real income. Because maybe the 6% inflation in Sri Lanka, so that 6% included in the per capita. Then we can say that is the nominal per capita. But if we are removing the 6% from the nominal per capita, so we can get the real per capita income. So that is actually we are studying under the macroeconomic. Because now when we are computing the GDP, actually we can use either market price or the fixed price or the using the base year. But if you are using the market price, whatever, there is a inflation impact. Then what happened if you compare with the 2019 and 2020, if the price increased by 10%, so that is included in the GDP. Then we have to actually remove that inflation impact. But if you are computing the GDP, the per capita with the inflation, you can see the higher amount of GDP in Sri Lanka. But if you are removing that one, so we can see very less amount of real per capita income. So, but we are studying under the macroeconomics. Right. Then the theory of national income. Earlier we said that but the gross domestic product. So that is, we can say the GDP or the total amounts of goods and services produced within the country. Then how can we calculate the national income? Because actually when we are calculating the national income, some people are going to foreign country and they are sending money to our country. So we are adding to our GDP. And some people are coming from foreign country to our country and they are working here and they are sending money to foreign country. So that is, we are reducing from the GDP. Finally, we can say, actually we are adding the net foreign factor income. That is called the net foreign factor income. So when we are adding the net foreign factor income to the domestic product, for the GDP, then we can get the national income. Because here actually we are using either income or the production. Gross domestic product, or we can say gross domestic income. Because the product actually we can convert into the monetary income, then we can say that is the income. So national income, or we can say the national product also. So that is cover the various topics related to the evaluation of national income, including the income, expenditure, and budgeting. So those are the things, either income or the expenditure, or we can say budgeting. And the theory of money, and that is also macroeconomics. We are analyzing that one, the functions of the reserve bank in the economy, or we can say that the central bank and the other banks in the economy. And the inflow and outflow of money. We are talking about inflow of money and the outflow of money. Some money coming from the foreign country, and some money goes from our country to foreign country. That is outflow of money, and inflow means coming to our economy. And its impact on the employment level in our country. So that is the theory of money. The monetary flows going from our country to foreign country, and foreign country to our country, the money is flow. That is a flow, inflow and the outflow. But that is actually effect for the employment level in our country. Another one, actually, we are talking about the macroeconomics, that is the theory of international trade. Actually, that is actually we are discussing under the international economics. Because international economics, because we are dealing with the foreign countries. We are sending goods and we are buying goods from foreign countries. So that is called the international trade. But another part, international economics, there is international finance also there. The money also flows from our country and from foreign country to our country. So that is under the international economics, actually we are talking about the international trade and international finance. But here actually we are talking about the international trade. So that is study of the fields of study that is enlightened upon the import and export of goods and services. Because we are sending goods and services to foreign country, so that is called the export. And we are buying goods and services from foreign country, so that is called the import. So that is actually international trade. In brief, it determines the impact of cross-border trade and the duty charge on the economy. Now, because we are sending goods to India, and India also sending goods to our country. But what is the duty? Because when we are sending our goods to foreign country, actually, that is going through the harbor. So at that time, they are charging some tax actually. That is a tax. That is called the duty. And again, so that goods going to the Indian harbor, also they are charging some tax. So that is also called the duty. And when we are importing goods from India, that is coming through the custom or the harbor, at that time also they are charging some tax. So that is called the duty, or we can say the tariff. Normally we can say tariff, because when we are sending goods also we have to pay duty, and when we are importing goods from foreign country also we have to pay duty. So that is called the tariff. So that is actually we are discussing under the international trade. Is it clear, Sevandi? Hello? Is it clear?
Could you please describe the last one again, sir?
This one? International trade?
No, sir, that means the way of tax charge.
Yeah. Now, when we are sending the goods to foreign country, what happens? That's going through the custom. Okay? So at that time, we have to pay some taxes. That is charged by the custom actually. The Sri Lanka harbor or the custom, or when we are sending through the Airways also, that is also custom there, the airport, and they are charging some tax. There's some tax range, like interest rate. Maybe the 5%, 10%, that is depend on the goods we are sending to the foreign country. Is it clear? Hello.
Okay, sir.
When
Okay,
we
sir.
are importing, now if you are going to import the car from Japan, and that is a luxury item, actually we have to pay 400, I think. If that is 10 million, 1 million, but sometimes we have to pay more than that one. So that is depend on that is also duty, or we can say the tariff. When we are importing goods also, we have to pay some tax for the custom. And when we are sending goods also, we have to pay tax to the custom. So that is called the duty. Okay?
Okay, sir, it's clear.
Okay, right. Now, if you are importing the laptop from Japan, so we have to pay taxes. Maybe the cost of production is very low. Maybe this one may be 25,000, 30,000 in Japan rupees. But when we are importing, that price increase up to maybe 100,000, because sometimes 70,000 or the 50,000 we have to pay as a tax, because that is a luxury item. Okay. So because we want to, actually that is one thing, the duty is a government revenue or the government income. Another one, actually the government wants to discourage the foreign product consumption in Sri Lanka. Now, I think the last month or earlier month, I heard about the government increased the tax on the big onion. Because now in Sri Lanka, we are producing big onion in the Dambulla and the Matale area. And we want to encourage the big onion producers in Sri Lanka. And the government wants to discourage the foreign product consumption. So that is why they are charging duty. Is it clear? Hello. Okay. Right. And another one, you can see the theory of employment. So this stream of macroeconomics helps to figure out the level of employment, unemployment, and the prevailing employment conditions in the country. Now in Sri Lanka, you can see, I think nowadays 5% unemployment in Sri Lanka. And we have to think about what is the employment opportunities in Sri Lanka. So under the theory of employment. And also know how to affect the supply, demand, savings, consumption, expenditure behavior. Because when the supply is increasing, what happens? Actually, we can increase the employment opportunity. And if the demand is increasing, actually we can increase the employment opportunity, because when the demand is increasing, the prices are increasing. When the prices are increasing, what happens? The revenue of the firms are increasing. And the profit of firms are also increasing. Then what happens? The firms actually, they try to recruit more people. So that is effect for the employment opportunities in Sri Lanka and reducing the unemployment. And what happened to the savings? Now, if the savings are very high, actually we are putting money into the banking sector. And what happened? The bank sector, they are increasing their giving the loans to the investors. Then what happened? The producers or the firms or the investors, they can get the loan from the banking sector. And they can invest more money for producing goods and services within the country, then increasing the GDP and increasing the employment opportunities, and sometimes reducing the prices and decreasing the unemployment. A lot of things happening. And the consumptions also affect. Now, if the consumption is increasing, what happens? We are buying more goods and services. Then what happened? Again, the prices are going up. With the limited number of goods and services, and the prices are, we are competing to buy those things, and the prices are increasing. Then increasing the revenue of firms and increasing the profit of the firms. Then what happened? They are motivated to produce more goods and services. So at that time, actually, they are recruiting more people to their firms. Then what happened? Increase in the employment opportunities and decrease in the unemployment in our country. Then what is the expenditure behavior also affect for the employment. Now, if we try to spend more, so that is our behavior. We are earning money and we are spending maybe 80% of our money for buying goods and services. Then what happened? Again, that is happening because we are consuming more and more. Then what happened? Increase the prices and increase the revenue of the firms and increase the profit of the firms. And actually they are encouraged to produce more and more goods and services. Then what happened when they are increasing the production? So they are recruiting more people. So that is effect for the more employment opportunities in the economy and reducing the unemployment in the economy. So that is affect the supply, demand, saving habit, the consumption habit, and the expenditure habit also. Then the economy is working properly. And the theory of general price level, so that is under the macroeconomics. Now I said under the microeconomics, we are talking about the individual prices or the group prices, maybe the pumpkin price or the green gram price, maybe the cabbage price, or we can say as a group behavior, we can say the prices of vegetable. Or we can say the price of TV, price of cars, price of iron bars or something. But that is individual behavior, but as a total or the group behavior, we can say the prices of industrial item. Now here actually we are talking about the economy as a whole. So that is why we are talking about the general price level. So what happened the prices in 2019 and what happened at prices of 2020? Increase, decrease, or constant. If increase, we can say that is inflation. If decrease, we can say the deflation. Or sometimes we can say the prices are not changed. So that is actually, we can say the general price level in an economy. The most important of all is the analysis of product pricing. Whether product price is increasing, decreasing, or constant. And how these price levels fluctuate because of inflation or deflation. If the prices are increasing, we can say inflation. If the prices are going down, we can say the deflation. So that is the behavior of prices or the fluctuations of prices. So that is actually we are talking in macroeconomics. And what are the macroeconomic policies? Earlier we discussed that one. The government and the Reserve Bank, the functions together while determining the macroeconomic policies. Now here the Reserve Bank means the central bank because they are keeping the reserve. And what are the macroeconomic policies for the nation's welfare and development? Because why do we use the macroeconomic policies? To increase the welfare of the people. And we want to develop the country. So those are the macroeconomic policies implemented by the government. And earlier also we discussed that one, but here we can say the two segments of the sections are as follows. First one, we can say the fiscal policy. So what is the fiscal policy? It's a means of meeting the deficits of income over the expenditure. It is a form of budget decisions under the macroeconomic. Now the government's presenting the budget, but every year we can say there's a deficit budget, because deficit budget means the next year actually we are going to increase the government expenditure for investment project. When under the fiscal policy, when we are increasing the expenditure, actually that money comes to the economy. When the money comes to the economy, what happens? We are getting the income. Our income is increasing as a person. Then what happens? We are using that money to buy goods and services. When we try to use that money to buy goods and services, what happens? Increasing the prices, because we are competing for limited goods and services within the economy. Then what happened? They increase the income of the firms because they are the producers and increase their profit. Then when they are increasing their profit, what happened? They try to increase the production. But when they are increasing the production, what happened? Actually, they try to recruit more people. Then what happened? Increase in the employment opportunities in the economy and reducing the unemployment level. So that is under the fiscal policy. And what is the monetary policy? Again, I discuss that one. The increase the money supply, actually the monetary policy is framed by the Reserve Bank, means the central bank, in collaboration with the government. And these policies are the measures taken to maintain economic stability and the growth. So what is the purpose of monetary policy? Maintain the economic stability and the economic growth of the country by regulating the various interest rates, because they can control the interest rate. So that the government is the regulator. Okay, they can control the interest rates. Now, if they increase the money supply, what happens? The rate of interest is going down. So when the rates are going down, actually there is a negative relationship between investments and the rate of interest, because when the rates are very low, investments are going up. When the rates are going up, what happens? Investments are going down. So there's a negative relationship between investments and the interest rates. Then when increase in the money supply, rates are going down, then what happens? Investors are motivated and they try to invest more money. So when they are investing more money, they are increasing the production. When they are increasing the production, what happens? Actually, they want to recruit more people to increase the production. Then what happens? Reducing the prices and increasing the job opportunities and decreasing the unemployment in an economy. So that is the two policies can be implemented by the government, either fiscal policy or the monetary policy. But under the fiscal policy, another instruments also there. So what is the tax increase or tax cut? Now, if the government cut the taxes, our purchasing power is increasing, because earlier we paid maybe the 10,000 rupees per month as a tax. If the government cut half, whatever, nowadays we are paying 5,000 rupees per month. Then 5,000 we have the left money and we are using that money to buy goods and services. And when we are using that money to buy goods and services, what happened? Actually, prices are going up. Then again, what happened? Increase the revenue of firms and increase their profit. Then what happened? They try to produce more goods and services and they try to recruit more people. Then what happened? Decrease in the unemployment, then increase in the production. And when increase the production and what happened? The money comes to us and we are increasing our savings also. So that is happening in the economy, and economy is growing and there is economic stability in the economy. So that is the two policy instruments, either fiscal policy or the monetary policy can be implemented by the government to maintain the economic stability and the growth of the country, then increasing output, increasing employment opportunities. Right. Now here you can see the one assignments actually. Now we discussed a lot of things. The later there's another slides also there. We have another half an hour. And the importance of macroeconomics. Why do we need to dig into macroeconomics? So that is the assignment. Is it clear, Sureka? Hello, Sureka. Can you hear me? Say one thing. Everybody here, the why do we need to dig into macroeconomics? Okay, so that is the assignment. And I am telling the right in details. The submit on or before Wednesday, the coming Wednesday, 3rd March, before 12 p.m. Okay, midday. And that included only 6 pages and very close to 3,000 words. Everybody clear? Hello. Hello. Everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The why do we need to dig into macroeconomics? That is the assignment. So you have to write in details and submit on or before Wednesday 3rd March, the coming Wednesday, by 12 p.m. and only 6 pages and the 3,000 words. That is the maximum. And if you, because I am putting my email number here. Okay, I forgot to put that one. Nawarathna61@yahoo.com. So you can send me to that email number, Nawarathna61@yahoo.com. Okay. So that is the email number. So you have to send that one, and the next Saturday I can give the results also. Okay, right. But here I have given the answer also. That is the very simple answer. Answer is macroeconomics is a vital concept that considers the whole nation and works for the welfare of the economy. That is only simple answer, because we are concerned the whole nation and work for the welfare of the economy, because we want to improve the welfare of the people, and we are working for the whole nation, not for individual people. So that is why we are studying the macroeconomics, so we can say we are dig into macroeconomics. Okay, so that is the very simple answer, but you can elaborate that one up to 6 pages. Okay. Hello. Right. Then you can see the trade cycle analysis. So it is beneficial for timing the economic fluctuations to avoid to be prepared for any financial crisis or the adverse situation. Hello? Can you mute your mic? Right. Now this is a trade analysis, actually trade cycle analysis, because we can see the trade cycle. So that is the we can see the business cycle, actually, that is one. So under the business cycle, actually, we are talking about the behavior of the economic activity in the economy and or the world. Now the trade cycle, you can see, or under the business cycle, you can see that there are some fluctuations. There are some crises, or sometimes we can see the adverse situations. But we have to prepare for that one. Then nowadays, you can see the COVID came to all the world. Now there is a going down the economy. The economy is going down, or we can say there's a recession in the world. And there is a boom situation and the recession situation. And if the government not intervene the economy came to the bottom level. So that is called the depression. And if the government intervene to the economic activity, then what happens? There is a recovery of the economy. So that is the cyclical behavior of the economy. But we have to prepare for that, and we don't know what happens in the future. And the economic policies formulations. The framing of the monetary and the fiscal policy, so we have to formulate those things, either monetary policy, either fiscal policy, or both, or the policy mix, we can say. Majorly, that depends upon the study of the prevailing macroeconomic conditions in the country, because in Sri Lanka, we can see there's a big problem. The socio-economic problems are there. Then sometimes we have to increase the money supply. Sometimes we have to increase the fiscal, the government expenditure, or we have to cut the taxes. Or that is the policy mix. Increasing the government expenditure, and we are increasing the money supply. The both, that is called the policy mix, because there's a bad conditions in the economy. The downsizes and the effect of inflation and deflations. because the inflation means prices are increasing continuously, and the deflation means prices are going down continuously. We can see some countries very high inflation or the very low inflation. The macroeconomics also help the government and the financial bodies to be prepared for the situations of economic instability. There is economic instability. So, but that is happening due to the increase in prices or decrease in prices. There is a economic instability. So then actually we have to be prepared for that one, and the government can help for that one under the macroeconomic policies. Right. And the facilitates the material welfare. So this stream of economics gives the broader perspective of social or national issues. Therefore, the ones who look forward to contributing to the welfare of the society needs to study macroeconomics. Because if you try to support for the society, but we should know what is macroeconomic. Because we can't help for the individual people. Actually, we have to help for the society as a whole. Then if you want to help for the society as a whole, so you have to study the macroeconomics. So that is called the facilitate the material welfare. And we have to regulate the economic system. How can you regulate that one? It ensures or keeps check over the proper functions of the country's economy and the actual position. Because so that is done by the government. Because if not, whatever, there is a economic instability in the economy. So that is why we are using the regulatory system. Because if there is overproduction, also problem for the economy, and the lower production solve the problem for economy. And the higher price also the problem, the lower price also the problem. And the higher rate of interest also the problem, the lower interest also the problem. Higher unemployment also the problem, lower also the problem. So that is why the government should regulate the economic system. And the resolves economic issues, the various issues we discussed, the analysis of macroeconomics. So theories and issues help the economists and the government to figure out the cases, the causes and the possible solutions of such macro level problems. So actually the cause and the effect are there. So what is the cause of unemployment in Sri Lanka? So our economy is not expanding very quickly. Then what happened? So we are producing the graduates, and we are producing A-level student, we are producing the O-level student, maybe the postgraduate students. Then what happened? That is the causes for increasing unemployment, because there is no any way to absorb those unemployed people to the economy. Then there is a cause and effect. So at that time, actually, the government should solve those issues. So that is the problem. But those are the macroeconomic problems. Unemployment increasing, maybe the inflation, maybe the lower production, the lower productivity, and the low saving. And there is a foreign exchange problem, the balance of payment problems, all are the issues of the economy. Then the government has to solve those problems. And the economic developments, the dealing with the different economic conditions by making use of macroeconomic research, they open up the way towards the country's growth. Now, actually, we can say the research and development, because without research, there is no development. So that is why every government in the world, actually, they are allocating money for research. In Sri Lanka, actually, 2% out of the GDP, only 2% we are using for research. So that is why actually we are not developing. The thing is, what happened, we are not doing the research, because if you do the research, what happened, there is a development and growth. But the developed countries, actually, they are using more money for research, research means there is a development in the country. If you are doing research, we can identify what is the reason for unemployment problems or the low saving, the low production, and the high prices or the high rate of interest. We can find out that. Then actually we can develop the country and we can increase the growth of the country. So that is depend on the research and development. R&D expenditure we have to increase. So that is why we can see the last government actually they gave money for the private sector do the research. Then nowadays you can see the COVID problems in the world and Sri Lanka. The world countries actually they are using more money or they are spending more money for finding the new vaccine for COVID. Now they have found some vaccine, but that is not the permanent one. But within that period, actually, they are doing more research. WHO, the World Health Organization, the American, some private sector firms, the UK, Oxford, Cambridge universities, they are using more money and they are spending more money for research. And they try to find the new vaccine for COVID. Every country, actually, they have to increase the research expenditure. Then actually they can develop the country. So that is called the economic development. Then we can see some issues related to the macroeconomics. And economists need to deeply analyze the following problems: the prevailing in the society as well as the economy while studying macroeconomics. So what are the related issues in macroeconomics? Issues related to macroeconomic trends in the economy. So what happened to the macroeconomic trends when we compare several years? So what is the trend? And what are the issues related to the government policies? Whether our fiscal policy success or the monetary policy success or both are success or fail. So those are the issues. And what are the issues related to foreign trade? In Sri Lanka, we can say we are dependent on the several items actually. So we have to diversify the export. But up to 1970s, we can see we depend on the tea, rubber, and coconut. But after 1970s, we can see we diversified the exports, the minor export crops, the industrial items, the garment items. But after 1977, under the open economic policies, actually we try to diversify the export sector in Sri Lanka. But the problem is there because when we are sending those goods to the foreign country, the prices are very low because we are sending the raw materials. So we are sending the rubber to foreign country. So that is the raw material for producing the tires and tubes and other items. But if we can produce the industrial item within our country, and if we can send to the foreign country, we can get the more income. So those are the issues related to foreign trade. And actually we are sending our goods to limited countries. The tea we are sending to the Middle East countries, or we are sending to Russia, or the UK and the USA. But the problem is there because they are using another drinks, maybe the Coca-Cola, Pepsi or something. So they don't like to drink the tea. And when we are sending tea also, there are some problems because sometimes we are mixing sugar or something. So that is the problems in the foreign trade. So those are issues in macroeconomics. And when we are importing goods from the foreign country, sometimes we are getting the loans from the World Bank and the IMF. But when we are getting the loans from IMF and the World Bank, they are putting some conditions. Sometimes they say, because we can buy that item from another country at a cheaper prices, but when they are giving the loan, they said that you have to buy those items from the USA or the Western countries. But when we are importing those items from Western countries, the prices are very high. But under the conditions by the World Bank and the IMF, so we are unable to buy that item from another country. But if we can buy those items from the Asian countries, actually very cheaper than the developed country. So those are the issues. Another one, what happened? So we are sending goods and services to foreign countries, especially the goods. The prices are defined or determined by the developed countries. And when we are importing product from the foreign country, also the prices are determined by the developed countries. Then there is a problem. Both prices are determined by the developed countries. So those are the trade issues. That is why actually under the GATT and the WTO, actually they are discussing about the fair trade for the developing countries. But nowadays, actually that is not fair because they are taking decisions partial to the developed country because they want to get the higher profit or the higher income. And the issues related to the macroeconomics also there. So those are the issues related to macroeconomics. And we can see what is the issues related to the macroeconomic trends in the economy. The economic conditions of a country exceedingly influence the operations of any organization, because that is effect for the operations of the organization. That is the economic conditions in a country. And the various economic trends or the factors affect the business are gross domestic product. So various economic trends or the factors that is affect for the business. Then that is affect for the GDP in the country. And the employment conditions and the investment opportunities and the banking sector and the pricing policies, those are actually we can say that is related to the issues in macroeconomic trends in the economy. So those are badly affect for the economy. And the issues related to foreign trade. So many organizations trade. So either export or the import goods from other countries in international markets. So they are sensitive to the fluctuations in the economy of other countries and the exchange rates and the prices are, because now you can see the dollar value is very high. Now what happened when the dollar value is very high? When we are importing product from foreign country, we have to pay higher prices for those products because our rupee value is going down. So that is the exchange rates. But earlier you can see we paid only maybe 150 rupees per dollar, but nowadays we are paying 180, 190 rupees per dollar. So that is the big problem for our country because we are importing the raw materials, maybe the food items, maybe the intermediate products. So those are prices are very high due to higher value of the dollar. Then what happened? We are producing goods within our country using those high price raw material or the high price intermediate product. Then what happened? The prices of our products are very high. Then when we go to the world market, we are unable to compete with the world market because those developed countries actually they are using the capital intensive methods and they are producing the cheaper price product and they are sending to the world market. Then we are unable to compete with those items. Then there is a problem for our country. Another one, actually they are producing the low cost production and they are sending to the foreign our country or the Asian countries or the developing countries market. The prices are very low. Now you can see in Sri Lanka, so when we are producing the 1 kilo of sugar, maybe 160 rupees. But actually we can import that sugar from foreign country at the lower prices, maybe 80 rupees, 90 rupees. So that is called the dumping actually. So they are putting the low price product into developed countries market. Then we have a problem for that. So those are the foreign trade related issues. And such changes may even influence the economic conditions of the country, untimely affecting the business organization, exchange rates, other country problems, and the prices. Those are effect for our business organizations. And the limitations of macroeconomics. So why do some economists criticize macroeconomics? The following shortcomings of this approach have to lead to its criticism. So what are the limitations? So we can see the consider aggregate as homogeneous. And the misleading and difficult aggregations, because very difficult to aggregate everything. And the fallacy of the deduction inferences. The various conceptual and statistical complexities are there when we are computing the macro level things. And the unnecessary aggregate variables are there. And they neglect the individual consumers because they are talking about the whole consumer. And the too much generalization. So that is also a big, those are the limitations of the macroeconomics. And what are the considers the aggregate as homogeneous? The individual data may not be similar in structure or composition. So when such single figures are compiled to get an aggregate value, it may not seem to be that useful. So that is about the micro level data we try to aggregate. And what are the misleading? The extensive applications of macroeconomics measures seem to be irrelevant when aimed at 100% results, because we are unable to get the 100% results. And what are the fallacy of deductive inferences? The macroeconomic functions on aggregate values, but the interpretations of the individual activities may not be the same as compared to the conclusion drawn on mass level. Because we are using the individual data and we are trying to give a generalized for the macro level or the mass level. So that is very difficult task. And conceptual and statistical complexities. So when the individual data have the different units, it aggregations become the odious and the wholes no significant, because the individual data we try to aggregate. And the unnecessary aggregate values or the variables. So when the individual elements need to be examined separately, the aggregate values cannot be used for the purpose, because individual thing we have to study individually. But when we are aggregating that one, actually sometimes very difficult to use that one. And the neglects individual consumers. The concept of macroeconomics overlooks the importance of the individual units or consumers, since the fundamental is to make use of aggregate, because individual consumers are there, but sometimes we are not paying attention on them. And the too much generalization. The conclusion derived from the aggregations of the data is generally taken to be true for all the individuals, but that is not suitable or that is not relevant for that one. Using the individual data, but we try to give for the aggregations, and that is actually conclusions given for the aggregation. So that is the problem in the macroeconomics. So that we can say the limitations of the macroeconomics. Right. Now, a lot of things actually we discuss. Then we can see what is the conclusion. So macroeconomics is the basis of various economic reforms and the national decision model in a country. However, the policies framed under this concept usually have a dual impact. So what are the dual impact? On the society as a whole and the individual citizen. Society as a whole and the individual citizens. So therefore, it requires a highly analytical, logical, and extraordinary approach while reaching to such inferences. So that is the conclusion. So issues related to government policies. The business operations often lead to social costs such as pollution, the soil erosion, the depletions of natural resources, and endangering the wildlife, etc. To control these social costs, the government frames specific policies and the regulations which act as the hurdle for business organization. So that is the issues related to the government policies. Okay. Right. So that is the whole thing about the macroeconomics environment. Hello. Shureka. Sewandi. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, could,
Okay, right.
sir, could you please present the slide number 10 again?
Slide number 10.
10, slide number 10. The question is there.
Question. Okay, I will go back to 10. 13. This one. Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Why do we need to dig into macroeconomics? So write in detail. But here the simple answer is here. The answer is macroeconomics is a vital concept that considers the whole nations and works for the welfare of the economy. So that is your simple answer, but you have to elaborate that one. So you have to expand your answer using various examples. Everything actually I have discussed here, but you have to read and try to give the very good answer. Okay. Is it clear? Hello. Sewandi.
So do we have to write answer this question as considering Sri Lankan microeconomics?
Yes, Sri Lankan or the whole, both actually. Not only Sri Lanka, the world examples also you can take. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we can stop. Dr. Menuka.
Thank you so much, Professor Nawarathna. Thank
Yeah.
you. I hope we get to listen to another lecture from you soon.
Okay.
And I will email the question to all of you
Okay.
with the deadline.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
See you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
See you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.